The year is 2012, and as NFL fans, we had no idea that we were about to witness one of the best NFL draft classes of all time. This draft class featured quarterbacks like Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles, and of course who this video is about, Robert Griffin III. YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another NFL video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here to talk about the biggest what if in NFL history. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL. Let's get straight into today's video. Oh yeah guys, and I almost forgot to mention, I am running a giveaway right now. All you have to do to enter is purchase a piece of my merchandise. The shop is linked down below in the description, and you will be entered in an NFL jersey giveaway of your choice straight from NFLshop.com. So make sure you guys go enter that giveaway if you want to. Again, my merch link is down below in the description, and you will have a chance to win an NFL jersey of your choice. Alrighty, so this video is pretty special to me because as you guys know, I'm a Washington football team fan, Washington Commanders, and obviously back then a Washington R-word fan. So this video is pretty special to me. And as of 2011, 13 years after Dan Snyder has bought the Washington franchise, they still didn't have a franchise quarterback. They were still in the wilderness of trying to find that guy, and in 2012 they decided to make a move to get that guy. The Washington franchise sent 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick to the Rams to move up 4 spots and get the opportunity to select Bear's quarterback Robert Griffin III. And this was around the time that I really started to get into football again. I've been a Washington fan all my life, but 2011, 2012 is when I really started to grasp the actual term of knowing football and actually knowing the ins and out of the game. And when I saw that we selected Robert Griffin III, I was super hyped. This man in Baylor put up really great numbers, especially in that 2011 campaign where he put up 4,200 yards through the air, 37 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and added another 700 on the ground with 10 touchdowns. And as a kid, when you see a quarterback running the way RG3 did, you instantly just think of Madden. And again, I was just super excited to see a guy like that playing for my favorite team. So Washington and RG3 starts their tenure in New Orleans, and it got off to a really good start. Actually, I could remember listening to this game on the radio while we were at Home Depot, and I could just hear the excitement from that game. I mean, you had a lot of road fans there, and you had a lot of even New Orleans fans chanting RG3. That game was really electrifying, and it got off to a really good start for Washington. And watching that game, could you not be excited for the future? I mean, Robert Griffin III put up 40 points in his first ever NFL game. If I'm Daniel Snyder, I'm finally able to take a breath because it's like we finally have that franchise guy we've been searching for almost 20 years at that point. Now let's get to the real stuff. As good as RG3 looked in that first game, the biggest thing that I took away from that, and we've been knew this since coming out of Baylor, is that he struggled protecting himself, and it eventually caught up to him later in that 2012 season. And I could remember vividly watching 2 of these regular season games where it's just like, if this guy does not learn quick, he is going to kill himself out there. I could remember the Falcons game, RG3 running and trying to head for the sideline, and he just takes a nasty hit, and what do we find out later? He suffers a concussion. And again, it was fun to watch him play, but you could clearly see the concerns on Washington fans' faces as they see their franchise guy going out there trying to lay it all on the line, but he just simply doesn't know how to protect himself. And that's number one when you're a running quarterback. You have to be smart out there. You gotta know when enough is enough and just give yourself up so you can protect you and your team. You are the most valuable player on that field. You are the most valuable player in all of sports, and especially if you're a running quarterback, you have to know when just to go down. And quite frankly, Robert just never learned that. And at the midway point of Washington's season that year, they were 3-6 and everything was not looking good. And honestly, with RG3 being the new shiny toy in town, a lot of fans weren't putting the blame on him. A lot of fans were looking straight at Mike Shanahan, and honestly, looking at it from this standpoint now, Mike Shanahan really wasn't the problem, but we'll get more into that later in the video. Now, we're fresh off of the bye weekend. I don't know what happened to this team, but they put together one of the greatest second half performances I have ever seen, as they rattled off 7 straight wins and actually won the NFC East. Again, guys, this was a team that was just 3-6 and they found a way to go 10-6 and again win the NFC East. My favorite game from that whole stretch was that overtime win versus Baltimore. Man, that was the greatest game I've ever seen as a Washington fan up until that point. I mean, man, we were coming into that game winning 3 straight and we had all the momentum on our side, and RG3 left the game. Kirk Cousins coming in late, getting us a late game tying touchdown, taking it into overtime. Defense gets a stop, and then we get a great return from Richard Crawford to set up a walk-off Kai Forbath field goal. Oh my god, that game was so much, man. And as I sit down and record this video, I'm getting so much flashback from that season and so much fun nostalgia that we later went on to win the NFC East. But let me take you guys to that night, Sunday night versus the Dallas Cowboys. Man, it was no better feeling. I swear that rivalry was just so good, man. I miss those days. But we went on to win the NFC East after starting 3-6, and you couldn't tell nobody in the DMV area nothing. Everyone was super happy because we thought we had a chance to get that 4th Lombardi. Now we're in the playoffs facing another rookie quarterback in Russell Wilson, and we couldn't have asked for a better start as we got out to a 14-0 lead, and it was looking like Washington was going to run away with this thing. But then we allowed them to crawl back and fight back, and then later that game, RG3 suffered a torn ACL. Kirk Cousins came in, and that was all she wrote for the 2012 season. And even though it ended on a bad note because we blew a 14-point lead, but even more important than that, we were worried about our franchise guy headed into the future, we had a really good season. I mean, going from 3-6 to 10-6, all the high moments was really fun to see. Like, yeah, man, this team is going to be dangerous in the future as long as we have 10 at the helm. But that was the problem. We didn't have 10 at the helm for much longer. 2013 season came around and RG3 made a full recovery from his torn ACL. And let's just say that was probably the worst season I've ever seen. Washington went on to go 3-13 and finish 4th place in NFC East, and it was starting to become the beginning of the end for Robert Griffin. He threw for 16 touchdowns and 12 picks in 13 games, and overall it just wasn't the season we thought we were going to have coming off of that electrifying 2012 season. And it was not looking good for Washington as they fired Mike Shanahan, and then that following season brought in Jay Gruden. And now with having a new coaching staff, RG3's future was uncertain with Washington, as he went on to only play one more season with Washington before they actually released him, and he only played in 10 games the 2014 season, threw for 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And now it's like, what happened to this guy? I mean, a guy that was once at the top of the world, offensive rookie of the year in 2012, everything was looking good for this young man, and it's just like, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Along with injuries, Griffin had serious character issues off of the fields. He would genuinely butt heads with his coaching staff, throw his teammates under the bus, and it just wasn't really good over there in Washington. I mean, he got his parents involved in this whole situation. It was just so much going on. Daniel Snyder was taking RG3's side over the coaching staff. Mike Shanahan had a lot to say. They were trying to turn him into, you know, a pocket passer instead of letting him be a runner. So RG3 had a problem with that. It was just an overall sticky, ugly situation going on, and it was a lot due with RG3. I don't want you guys to think, you know, he was the only one having the problems, but he was majority of the problem in in Washington. And again, Daniel Snyder decided to stick with him over Mike Shanahan, which hindsight 2020 probably was a terrible situation. But again, it's Daniel Snyder. We know he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So again, that move shouldn't surprise anyone. RG3 went on to play for the Cleveland Browns as a backup and then play for the Baltimore Ravens as a backup before now being out of the league. And again, you just look back on it and say, what if, man? And yes, RG3 did have some character issues, but that was not the main problem. That is not what ruined his career. What ruined Robert Griffin III's career was his injuries. The guy could never stay healthy. I mean, it was always something up with RG3, and that's the biggest problem with this whole thing. Is if he stayed healthy, he probably would be playing with the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, till this day. And I would like to think if RG3 never got hurt, this team would be in a really good spot right now. I think we probably would have had a few NFC Championship appearances. I don't know if we would have had another Super Bowl ring, but based off of that 2012 season, it was looking good for RG3 and this team's future, but everything just went down the hill because the guy could never stay healthy. So yeah, man, there you have it. As I sit here recording this video as a sad Washington fan, I just reminisce and dream about what RG3 could have been to this city and franchise, as we sit still to this day wondering and looking for that franchise quarterback. But this has been Juan Gotti. This was the biggest what if in NFL history. Let me know what you guys think about this video down below. Make sure you guys leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload NFL content just like this. And if you want a chance to win an NFL jersey of your choice, all you have to do is buy a piece of my merch. The store link is down below in the description. As always, it's been your boy Juan Gotti. I'm out. Peace.